already studied about taxonomy in previous class. A quick review. The word taxonomy comes from a combination of two Greek words, taxos meaning arrangement and nomos meaning law. So taxonomy is the branch of biology that deals with principles and procedures of classification, nomenclature and arrangement into groups. Now humans have a close relation with their environment. We tend to keep a record of things useful or harmful to us. So we started identifying plants and animals around us as good or bad, useful or to be avoided. We gave them names. Probably this is where taxonomy started. So we can say that the science of biological classification is as old as human civilization. Now, the development of any scientific concept involves many speculations and multiple lines of reasoning. Classification too developed gradually with many confusions and contradictions. Vedic literature during 2500 BC to 750 BC shows the records of approximately 750 plants and 650 animals. Chandogya Upanishad classifies organisms on the basis of their reproductive origin as Jivaj, that is viviparous, Andaj, that is oviparous, and Udbhij, that is vegetative. Post-Vedic literature classifies organisms on the basis of their mobility, that is Stavara or immobile, referring to plants. Then Jangam or mobile, that is animals. And plants and animals were further classified on the basis of their utility and eating habits. So this was an elaborate classification known in Vedic period. In the Western world, the pioneer of classification was Aristotle. He classified living organisms into plants and animals, and then the animals were classified as red blood and non-red blood. The plants were classified as herbs, shrubs and trees on the basis of their sizes. Now we skip to early 18th century to Linnaeus. He proposed a two-kingdom classification that was followed for quite some time. But there were some problems with this classification. Problem number one, there was no differentiation between eukaryotes and prokaryotes, unicellular and multicellular organism, and between organisms which are photosynthetic and non-photosynthetic, like euglena, which is characters of both plants and animals. So these organisms could not be put in either of the two categories, that is plants or animals. Then there are bacteria and blue-green algae which have a cell wall and photosynthesize like plants, but also have a flagella like animals. Then there are the fungi with cell walls, but they do not photosynthesize. So thereafter many changes were made to the classification system. In 1969, Whitaker proposed the 5-kingdom classification. The 5 kingdoms were Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. Let's see on what criteria these classifications were done. Now the criteria were cell type, cell wall, nuclear membrane, body organization and mode of nutrition. The 5 kingdoms are here. Starting with the cell type, Monera is the only group which has a prokaryotic cell. All the remaining groups have eukaryotic cell. Cell wall is present in Monera, but it is not made of cellulose. Instead, it is made up of polysaccharides and amino acid. In Protista, it is present in some, but not present in most of the organisms. In fungi, it is present, but again it is not made of cellulose, it is made up of chitin. Plantae, it is made up of cellulose. Animals do not exhibit the cell wall. Next we come to nuclear membrane. It is related to the cell type. Prokaryotic cells do not have nuclear membrane, so it is absent in Monera. In all the other groups it is present. Body organization. Monera and Protista are unicellular, though the cell type may be different, but these two have unicellular body organization. Fungi is multicellular, but tissue formation is not yet seen. In plants, tissues as well as organs are seen, and in animals, organ systems are also seen. The next one is the mode of nutrition. Monera is a very heterotrophic group with respect to mode of nutrition. It can be autotrophic or heterotrophic. Among autotrophs, it can be chemosynthetic or photosynthetic, and among the heterotroph, it can be saprophytic and parasitic. Protista are autotrophic or heterotrophic, but the autotrophic are only photosynthetic. Chemosynthesis is seen only in Monera. Fungi is strictly heterotrophic, no photosynthesis is seen. Plants are strictly autotrophic, photosynthetic, and animals are again heterotrophic, showing either holozoic, saprophytic or parasitic mode of nutrition. Why five kingdom classification was accepted and used for a long time? Let's see what points were in its favor. First, earlier all organisms with cell wall were placed in one group, that is plantae. So bacteria and fungi were also a part of plantae. This included blue-green algae, fungi, mosses, ferns, and then gymnosperms and angiosperms. Now you can well imagine how mixed this group is. It has prokaryotic bacteria, heterotrophic fungi, and the very complex green plants. The cell wall in bacteria, fungi, and plants is also chemically different. So, in Whittaker's five kingdom classification, these two groups were removed from the group Plantae. Next, Monera was created to include prokaryotes. Then a separate group was created for unicellular eukaryotes such as Euglena and amoeba. Unicellular organisms like Chlamydomonas and Chlorella, which do have chlorophyll but cannot be considered as plants, were moved to Protista. They are unicellular eukaryotic organisms. Now, as a result of removal of all these organisms from plants, plant and animal kingdom became more homogeneous. So prokaryote, unicellular eukaryotes and fungi were removed from plant in Whittaker's five kingdom classification. Now this classification was based on cellular organization and mode of nutrition. These two are very basic and early evolved characters. Besides these, many other characters were taken which are very basic to the organization of an organism. So this kind of classification is based on so many characters and therefore is called a natural system of classification. But like any other system, there are certain loopholes, certain drawbacks. Some of the drawbacks were virus has no place in this five kingdom classification. Then Monera and Protista still remain heterogeneous. They have a diverse group of organisms. Monera has photosynthetic, chemosynthetic, heterotrophic organisms. Protista has organisms like algae, which is photosynthetic, and amoeba, which is not. Then trypanosoma, which is parasitic, and paramecium, which is not. So you can see how diverse the Protista too is. Now, if five kingdom classification has so many loopholes, we have to improve upon it. So we came with the domain system. Up till now, we studied that the highest taxonomic rank is kingdom. A higher level was now introduced in 1977 by Carl Bose. He divided the prokaryotes into two groups, bacteria, and archaea. This was based on evolutionary relationship, and the evidence for this came from a ribosomal RNA structure. Now, the division of prokaryotes into bacteria and archaea led to the proposal of the three domains of life. They are bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. Eukarya will include the protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia. So, in a way, this becomes the sixth kingdom classification, because to the five kingdom we have added the group archaea. The arrow here indicates evolution. So you can see from a common ancestor, three cell types evolved, forming the three domains of bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. This is the three domain system of classification, or the sixth kingdom system of classification. With this, we come to the end of this session. Here are your questions. To assess your understanding, try solving them, and only when you have understood the content of the video. Happy learning. Thank you. Bye-bye.